So we are on our week 10 topic. So we will be discussing customer acquisition for week 10. So we still have one last lesson before we will proceed to our midterm examination now. So for today's lesson, we will be discussing customer acquisition. So we have to identify the habit of consumer through internet to build customer acquisition techniques and internet brands.
What is customer acquisition? Customer acquisition can be defined as the process of converting prospects to customers. Essentially, it consists of selling products and services to new customers. As a result, it often involves offering products and services to a large number of prospects. Since customer acquisition focuses on data generated by prospective customers, the data is usually limited. As a result, many companies resort to buying additional data from data vendors in order to secure some detail on the demographics and lifestyle of their prospects. Customer acquisition models are used to acquire new customers and increase market share. Let's assume that the diagram here represents a subset of a population. You'll notice that prospects are those marked in red. This also shows potential customers that are found within distinct segments of the population. Therefore, the objective of the acquisition model is to find those segments that have a high concentration of potential customers. To deploy an acquisition model, we use the segments with a potentially high concentration of customers as targets for acquisition marketing campaigns. Sometimes these types of models are also called segmentation because they segment the population to segments of high concentration of prospect targets and others with low potential.
So, customer acquisition ng good class has always been an essential element to sa tuwang pagnegosyo or pagiging success sa isa ka negosyo. But the explosion of small businesses manggod kay gi-open niya ang opportunity kumbaga sa e-commerce na nakuan nga branch. So this has made it more important for more entrepreneurs than ever before because of this customer acquisition. So online businesses class and even ang mga retail have completely changed how ang isa ka consumer magunahuna about making their purchases sa isang produkto and even researching for options kung sa ilahang pwede paliton and returning to trusted na mga brands. Elements of the user experience that we have previously taken manggod for granted have become immensely important in determining how a potential customer will engage with an online business. So first, we have to know what is customer acquisition. So customer acquisition class is the process of bringing new users or players to your either mobile application or game or new clients or user user sa isa ka program, client sa isa ka produkto, customers sa inyong new products, mo na siya ato ang customer acquisition. So, the goal of this process mga is to create a systematic, sustainable na customer acquisition strategy na pwede ma-evolve with new trends and even platform changes such as with product changes, is sa online changes sa ato mga produkto through online.
What is customer acquisition cost, and is this the metric that will blow the minds of your future clients? So, in addressing the question, what is customer acquisition cost, there are 6 things we'll be sharing with you. We are going to give you a definition. We're going to think about why customer acquisition cost is so important, how you calculate customer acquisition cost, what your customer acquisition cost should look like, when to use customer acquisition cost, and what happens to your customer acquisition cost over time. Let's go. So if we are going to understand customer acquisition cost, we are going to need a definition, and we found one at insideintercom.com. And what they tell us is that customer acquisition cost is the best approximation of total cost of acquiring a new customer. So you will remember from video number 2, what is marketing, that if you are proactively marketing, you are effectively in the business of buying customers with your time, with your energy, with your money. So the customer acquisition cost, according to Inside Intercom, is the approximation of what that cost is. Now, I love this definition apart from the approximation. Why are we approximating? Let's do the work and let's understand exactly what your customer acquisition cost is. So now you understand what customer acquisition cost is, you might be asking yourselves, why is this so important? Well, there are 4 reasons why customer acquisition cost is so important. The first is about your bottom line. So if you are spending money on acquiring customers, which you are if you are proactively marketing in your business, then that will have an effect on your profitability. If you are spending too much to acquire customers, then your profitability will be lower than it needs to be. The second is what 4Entrepreneur call a startup killer. So what they tell us is that even if you have a great product in a great market and your targeting is right, if you have underestimated your cost of customer acquisition, your profitability won't be where it needs to be. You could go out of business. Now, the third reason is about understandability. So we are on video 12 in this series, and what we've communicated so far is that people don't really understand marketing, but everybody can understand this. So your bosses, your clients, if they don't understand what marketing is or why marketing is so valuable, they can definitely understand if you explain to them that you are in the business of buying customers for them, and if you can buy customers more cost effectively, that will improve their profitability. Everybody can understand this. And the fourth reason that you want to be thinking about cost of customer acquisition is because this data is available to you. So you might not get from your clients your profitability, you might not get the overall turnover, but you know exactly how much you're spending on acquiring these customers, and you can do this calculation all by yourself. So hopefully you're hearing me and you're thinking, yeah, this sounds really important. I would love to understand what my cost of customer acquisition is. How do I calculate cost of customer acquisition? And it sounds complicated, but in truth, you could do this on the back of a cigarette packet. So all you need to do is take all of your sales and marketing costs. So all of the marketing salaries, all of the sales salaries, all of the money you spend on advertising, on cars, on computers, on subscriptions, so that's email subscriptions, social media subscriptions, all of the money that you spend on creative, on developing websites and ad campaigns, all of your time, all of your energy, all of the money you spend on space, renting space for these people to sit in, and all of the money that you spend on agencies, and you divide that by the total number of customers that you have acquired in that period. So whilst here, Inside Intercom are telling us that this could be an approximation, this can be an approximation in the first instance. As you go forward, you want to get more and more accurate with these figures, but in the first instance, you could ask somebody in a second, how much are you spending on sales? How much are you spending on marketing? How many customers are you generating in a year? Your cost of customer acquisition is X. But because you're sharp, you're telling me, but this isn't perfect, because some of this money that I spend on sales and marketing goes on retaining customers. So it's not about new customer acquisition. And that's absolutely fine. That is exactly what you should be doing. But in the first instance, this calculation will give you the best approximation of what your cost of customer acquisition is. Okay, so now you have calculated your cost of customer acquisition, and you are probably a little bit shocked, and you probably need to have a sit down, and you're thinking, well, my cost of customer acquisition is X, but is that a good cost of customer acquisition, or is that a bad cost of customer acquisition? And we were thinking the same thing. So we went out and we looked for what is a high cost of customer acquisition. And we found this definition at Clipfolio, who tell us that an ideal LTV, that's lifetime value, versus cost of customer acquisition should be 3-to-1. The value of a customer should be 3 times more than the cost of acquiring those customers. So what they're saying is if you spend $1 on acquiring a customer, you should get $3 back. And now you might need to have a sit down, because what essentially Clipfolio are telling you is that the ideal cost of customer acquisition is a third of your turnover. So that's 33%. So if you are selling at a margin of 20% and it's costing you 33% of your turnover to acquire a customer, you are effectively losing 13% every time you sell something. So the more effective your sales are, the more effective your marketing are, the quicker you will go out of business. And this is why 4Entrepreneur describe this as a startup killer. And this is why I'm telling you that this will affect your bottom line. So if you aren't calculating your cost of customer acquisition and it's 33%, you are going out of business. So I think this is high. But then I looked further. So we went to cmosurvey.org and they do a survey every year to see how much people are spending on marketing. And they found that the average is 11.1% that businesses spend of their turnover on marketing. Now, interestingly, Gartner did a similar survey of the top 500 and they found that the top 500 are spending 13% of their total turnover on marketing, which is 20% more than the average. So what's interesting about this is that this is only the marketing cost. This isn't the entirety of the marketing and the sales cost. So I can tell you for sure that your sales budget could easily be twice what your marketing budget is, which gets you to this 33%. So if you aren't calculating your cost of customer acquisition, you need to start doing that right now, because it could be that you are selling yourself out of business. Which brings us then to point number 5, and point number 5 is the question, when to use customer acquisition cost. Well, when I like to use this is if I'm pitching for a new client. Heaven forbid I have to sit in an interview over again for a job, but if I'm pitching for a new client, I will ask them, what is your cost of customer acquisition? And they will go blank and they won't know what I'm talking about. And in 1 minute, I can explain to them, if you engage me, I will be in the business of buying customers for you. And the more efficiently, the more cost effectively we can buy those customers, the better your marketing will be. And like I say, you can do this calculation on the back of a cigarette packet. So if you ask somebody in an interview, what do you spend on sales? What do you spend on marketing? How many new customers are you generating? You can give them a great approximation right off the bat that probably their cost of customer acquisition is 33% of what they're doing. 33% of all their energy is going into acquiring new customers. So if I can pitch them and I can say, I'll be here to make that more cost effective, more profitable for you, they will understand and that will get me the job. So I would use cost of customer acquisition in interviews and in pitches to get you clients. Then once you're with the client, what you need to do is you need to track this weekly and monthly and annually. Now you will know that the actual costs of a business are only really allocated at the end of the year. So you will only have the actual number once a year. But every week you can be reporting to your clients, to your bosses, and you can say our cost of customer acquisition is here. This is the metric that you use to win clients and jobs and keep clients and jobs. Which brings us then to point number 6, which is the question, what happens to customer acquisition costs over time? Well, the good news for you is once you've won this job or this client, what will happen to the cost of customer acquisition is immediately it will go down, because there is waste here. There is money that is being wasted on salaries, on advertising, on cars, on computers, on subscriptions. There is waste here. So once you start looking at this and start driving efficiency with this, immediately your cost of customer acquisition will go down. Now, over the long term, it's reported that your cost of customer acquisition is likely to go up. And this kind of makes more sense. If you're running PPC campaigns, then maybe your cost per click will go up over time. Maybe once you exhaust some of the market, other customers are going to be harder to come by and the cost of customer acquisition will go up. But as long as you can demonstrate forever that you are in the business of acquiring customers profitably, then you will keep those jobs and you will keep those clients. So if you are still with us, well done. You now know exactly what customer acquisition cost is. You know why customer acquisition cost is so important. You know how to calculate your cost of customer acquisition. You know what a good cost of customer acquisition looks like. You know when to use cost of customer acquisition, and you know what is likely to happen to your cost of customer acquisition over time. If you have found this interesting or useful, be sure to check out video number 13, What is Customer Lifetime Value? If you've enjoyed this video, please take a second to like, share, subscribe, maybe comment. Maybe there's a piece of marketing jargon that you would like to see defined in this fashion. If you found it really interesting and useful, why not head across the Effective Marketing Company blog and subscribe there, and you will get this marketing jargon, bullshit busting goodness in your inbox every single day. We're done here, Alex.
So what does healthy customer acquisition look like? So class, ang isa ka healthy and sustainable rate of customer acquisition will look different for every businesses. So the nature of your e-commerce business is the size of your market and or even your target audience's online habits will all generally influence how quickly you attract and convert your new customers. So to get an idea what is the ideal rate of a customer acquisition might be for your business, we have to determine some benchmark metrics, no? So your current and average rate of your customer acquisition are a good place to start. So we have to determine how many new customers you converted during the past quarter ba, and then look across our previous year or transaction. So we have to try to calculate the rate for each quarter that we have been in business. So kani siya ng mga data points can give us a rough idea of paunsa mo perform how we are performing in terms of acquiring the new online customers. So in that way, we will know what does the healthy customer acquisition look like. So first we have to know the rate of customer acquisition that has remained steady over the several quarters. We have to focus on growing it. If our acquisition has fallen, it is time na mo rethink ta and even refresh ang ato ang strategy approach no sa ato ang mga new clients. Then if ato ang acquisition kini taas, we have to identify kato mga strategies na gigamit nato nga naka-fuel sa pagtaas sa ato ang mga customer acquisition. And with that, identifying our strategies, we have to refine that that strategy para continue ang pagtaas sa ato ang acquisition. So if our e-commerce business magod is suffering from low or pag-decline sa isa ka acquisition nato, we are almost certainly already aware kung unsa to mga butang nga reason or mga reason nga nung nag-decline ang ato ang customer acquisition. However, class, it is important magod to have a realistic expectation, no? And even we have to set mga achievable goals whenever you work to develop a new acquisition strategy before setting out on improving our rate. We have to review also the state of our business in the space that we occupy sa ato ang market. There are two useful questions that we have to consider. So first, generally speaking, a healthy rate customer acquisition ay mutabang siya og enable sa to ang e-commerce business para mo grow og mga revenue. So at the very least this means we have to replace the lapse or one-time customer quarter over quarter. So every business will have its own ideal rate of acquisition, but keeps on growing our customer base in the overall na goal nato. So low customer acquisition is costly for online business. Yes, having a stagnant or even declining rate of customer acquisition can seriously hurt our business in both the short and even also even sa long term. So in the short term class, failing to convert new customers directly affects our revenue. but fighting a prolonged uphill na battle no para ma-reach na to and even ma-acquire or makuha na to ang new customers can cost us even more over time. So, use our business's cost of customer acquisition or the CAC para ma-determine how much money you spend on attracting new customers. So, this is the formula marketing expenses divided sa number of customers acquired. So, mo na siya ito ang CAC. So, we have to determine our cost of customer acquisition to see where we can afford to improve our acquisition strategy. So, we have to divide our total marketing expenses over sa set nato na period, including wages, software, overhead, and even other costs. So, by the number of new customers that we have converted over the same period, so we have to calculate our cost of customer acquisition for past years or past quarters, then see if any patterns emerge. So, many small businesses manggod are shocked na may balaan nila how much they spend per customer, especially with their rates of customer acquisition are already too low for comfort. Then HubSpot 2018 research reflects these trends and highlights the increasing difficulty of converting online consumers. So, meron siya mga trends sa trust or even trust in business nga na nawala, no? So, nagkaroon ng downfall. So, that is the example. Then, healthy customer acquisition depends on healthy customer retention. So, this shifting consumer attitude mga good and trends reaffirm what savvy online businesses have always known. So, strong retention is the best customer acquisition as the message that we are reading right now. So, to further understand what does this sentence mean, referrals mango from family and also sa mga friends are increasingly important this is an important source kumbaga of prospective natin ng mga customers. And they go a long way para ma-increase ato ang visibility and ang magkaroon ng brand awareness. Growing our relationships with existing nato ng mga customer is also the best way para ma-reach nato ang wider na audiences nato, and it can significantly reduce our cost of customer acquisition by reducing our need to continually attract new na mga prospects. So, what is the customer acquisition processes for e-commerce? So, we have here the awareness, education, conversion, engagement, and the closing the deal. So, as an online entrepreneur, class, you are already familiar with the sales or conversions funnel. So, this method of visualizing the buyer's journey follows them through the process of first becoming aware of your business through general online searches or your social media marketing. So, next to this manggod is that the consumer learns more about your product or services through informational online content with a blog post. So, this content then typically directs them to a landing page that includes a lead capture form. So, once you receive this contact information, you can begin to directly engage na sa inyong prospective ng mga customer. Usually, via email ninyo ni siya ginakontak. Then, special deals manggod and also exciting calls to action funnel is an extremely useful siyang way para ma-understand na to or masabta na to how your digital marketing efforts should work together, but it can't show you the whole picture when it comes to acquisition. Then we also have here the customer life cycle. This thing refers to how your customers experience your business before, during, and after making a purchase. Here is roughly how they all fit together. So, first step class, sa first step sa ang diagram na ipakita ko ni diri So, in stage 1 class, in the stage 1 of the customer life cycle, a new prospect will visit your website, visit your website for the first time. So your social media, imuhang email, or other digital advertising effort might have drawn them to your store, or a referral from a peer or friend made them curious about your offer. So your website educational content, including industry research, mga blog posts, and other articles help to raise their awareness of your product services. Then in stage 2, the prospect has expressed their interest. So, our website's content, mga special deals na to sa tindahan or other lead capture technique, kay secure din siya as the prospect contact information. Then we also have here, your prospective customer has been activated. This means you are directly engaging them with your product or even services. So for retail e-commerce class, this might mean they have visited our product pages and began putting items sila hang mga shopping cart. Then there is a stage 4, you successfully converted na ang ang prospect into a customer na ninyo. So they have already paid na sa mga services or products na ilahang i-add to cart. Then there is a stage 5 kay your active customer use your product or services. Like for example sa B2C e-commerce, the stage involves asking customer for review na sa inyo ang mga product na ilahang ipamalit. Then sa stage 6, kay your loyal customer man ko, mo renew na sila sa support sa inyong business. Like, for example, sa Shopee, kay nakakuha na makag-feedback, no? So, sila, sa inyong din sila always mapalit sa mga product na ilahang trusted sa inyong So, of course, class, this process manggod will vary slightly depending on the nuisance no of your business model and also your online audiences. But the main idea manggod diri is that the sales process or the digital marketing and the customer life cycle are all connected, so they should work together para makaprovide sila o positive experience and if at every step na needed sa tuang mga customer. So that is all our lesson for our week 10. If you have questions and clarifications with regards in yung topic for today, please do not hesitate to ask. Pangutaan lang ko o kung sa to nga mag-question regarding sa inyong activities in your module. So again, thank you for